Hello, my fellow readers. This is I, Dark Symphony 777 with a fan fiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story and any... Where did that come from? Any fan fictions you want me to read or review in the future. And as always, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world. So we are continuing our journey through the Island series. We're going into Nightmare Night Fun, which I think is an okay story. I think it's better than Secret Island, the last story I reviewed. And yeah, bye everybody. Oh wait, I gotta do the review. I wish I had a Kermit toy. Then I could do a Kermit voice. Oh wait, I can do a Kermit voice right now. Shame. Sorry, I was bored. I had to do it. So, let's get started on the plot. So, the plot takes place during the events of the time skip on Secret Island. At the last chapter of Secret Island was a 7-year time skip. This story takes place within those 7 years. And kind of tells how Twilight Sparkle kind of got her relationship up, kind of, fell in love with Flash Sentry and Sunset Shimmer. And her the author kind of promised that, this story is going to be promising why Celestia did the thing she did, and her motivations behind it, and it's like, and I read the story, and I'm like, that's it? It felt like a slap in the face. That's going to be running theme throughout the story. Do I think the story is bad? No. I still think it does things better than Secret Island, but I think it's still kind of disappointing that the author did this big promise that we're finally gonna find out what was Celestia's motivation, what were her thought process, and we get a quick flashback in the story of Celestia. I'm gonna go more over that when I get to character, because I think that fits more there. So the plot is, in the 7-year time skip, the main 6, Twilight, Fluttershy, Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash, they're kind of going through a spat. They're kind of going through a fractured relationship because of Celestia. And they don't like the fact that Celestia's ways have pretty much kind of, to various degrees, ruined their lives. Rarity being hurt the hardest, and Applejack being hurt the least. And so Twilight is, she's burned through both, in both ends of the candle, so to speak. And she was, Luna finds her saying, hey, oh my god, this is as bad as I thought. Because in the time skip, it reveals that Crystal Empire is trying to annex themselves and achieve independence. Celestia is trying to stop that, so she's dumping all her work on Twilight and saying, you have to do all this and stuff like that. Well, not really talking to her, but you get the gist. And so Luna's like, give all this paperwork back to Celestia, you're going to relax for a couple weeks. And so the story kind of goes from there. Sunset Shimmer kind of ends up back in Equestria, and Twilight's like, why'd you come back? Well, I graduated. Okay. I was applying for college. What's college? Higher learning. Okay. Turns out the actual Sunset Shimmer applied to the same college. So, they thought I was a fake. Oh, I had police coming after me. Please, let me go. Let me see her. And it goes like that. And then, eventually, Sunset kind of starts having feelings for Twilight. Sunset starts helping Twilight get the band back together, starts to fix the relationship, mainly with Rarity, because outside of Rarity, we don't really see that much of the main 6 outside of the party. Sorry, because I'm about to burp again. And so stuff like that. So Twilight's like, can we get like Flash from your world over here? It's like, and she goes like, why not? and so they plan everything, and then they decide, and then Sunset starts falling for Twilight, and Twilight's kind of having conflicting feelings. Like, she loves Flash, but now she's starting to love Sunset, and she doesn't know what to do. And so they have the adult coitus. They have all the adult coitus. And so finally they manage to get Flash to Equestria. They have the party. They decide to have, you know what? Let's have a little herd. Three people relationship. Menage a trois. And so they figure the only thing loose end was, well, what are we gonna do with this Flash? It's like they find him all depressed. And he's like, Celestia ruined my life because she doesn't want to train the guard. It's like, we'll take you to another place where you can learn how to have fun. And then it's hinted that, well, it's revealed that he becomes a cop in the Equestria Girls world. But we're not talking about that Flash. We're talking about the Equestria Girls. I guess now actual Equestria Flash. So it's confusing. It's confusing. And overall, I think this story was better. It at least has a plot with Twilight trying to slowly stand up for herself to Celestia. We don't get that in the story, which is another reason why I don't like it. But the fact it has plot and the fact it allows it to breathe, I'll talk more about that in pacing. The plot at least has a plot. Sure, it's a simple plot of just, Twilight, falling in love and trying to relax because we don't get enough stories with that. What's that? We're gonna get a story called Lesson 0, How It Should Have Ended. So, in terms of characters, we have about three main characters. Sunset, Twilight, and Rarity. Rarity is Rarity. They kept Rarity the same as in the canon. That's fine. Sunset, her slowly wanting to love Twilight, but realizing that she still loves Flash and doesn't want to ruin that. It's a nice bit of storytelling that I think was executed pretty decently. Not amazingly. There are better stories that kind of handle this run, but for how the author handles it, I give it a pass. Twilight, her having to relax, it's okay. I mean, again, just like Sunset, there are better stories that handle this version of Twilight much better. That's just me. Her having to learn to relax and having to stand up to a teacher. Again, there's just much better stories out there that have that version of Twilight. And of course, some are going to be better than others. This one's more just average. It's just, for what it is, it's executed pretty decently. And now we get to Celestia. Why don't I like the Celestia scene? Why? Because on one hand, we kind of get a reason why she does it, despite the fact we kind of figure it out. If you read close enough attention to the info dump in the Secret Island, you kind of figure out what she was doing for in that story. So it kind of feels redundant that we get this in a flashback. Basically, Celestia is a traditionalist. She's afraid of change, mainly because of the fact she's been a ruler for so long, so she has gotten used to no one really questioning her judgment. And then Luna comes along. Candace is doing her whole thing. Twilight's a princess now, so now she has three other ponies that she has to confer and communicate with, and she's just not used to that anymore. And then we have Luna, who's pragmatic, who wants to build up this military for a really realistic reason because of a what if. What if, I'm being pragmatic, what if someone does find a loophole in Celestia's plan, because her defense force is literally just the main six. She realizes that, no one will ever attack. No one will ever attack because of the main six, because they one-shotted Nightmare Moon, they one-shotted Discord, they one-shotted this T-Rex. So it's like, who would have the gall to attack? So it's like, and it's actually a pretty neat dynamic, traditionalism versus pragmatism. And I think, unlike a story, I can only compare this dynamic to one other story, and that is the Upheaval series, specifically the first Upheaval by Visidane over on FanFiction.com. Go check that story out. I give it 2 thumbs up. It's kind of wonky with the characters, but overall, with world building and plot and stuff like that, it's actually a pretty good story on those fronts. And that story kind of has the same thing with Celestia being the traditionalist and Luna being the pragmatic. And so a big part of their subplot is Luna trying to convince Celestia to abandon those traditional ideals, because if she doesn't, then she'll die, Celestia will die, Luna will die, their brother Torado will die, literally all of Equestria will die, literally every single pony will die, and she's the only thing stopping them from kind of bolstering the army to stop that. And I think that was executed incredibly well. This one's more, that's it. I mean, that's all we have on their interactions. I'll get more into that when I get to the end, but I'm gonna leave it all. I'm gonna leave that specific part off there. Grammar error. We have two. I saw two grammar errors. One is relatively tame. The other one is just genuinely hilarious. So the first grammar error is this more simple one. It's just I believe in the first chapter, either the first or second chapter, the author accidentally messed up the spelling of the word with. Accidentally put WTIH instead of WITH, but that's about it. And then the second one, which is so hilarious. So this error actually happens during a sex scene. So so Sunset is teaching Luna, or not Luna, Twilight, how to do the dirty, how to do this, how to do that. And so, Sunset actually starts, gets ready for the scissor position, and the author actually says, I'm not joking, this is what the author says. The author, Sunset takes Twilight's legs and stinks it between her breasts. I'm not joking, the author actually put stink instead of stucked. I was like, wait, what? Because I completely forgot about that grammar error the first time I read it. It's like, wait, that makes no sense. That is my arch to my back level of comedy, grammar comedy. Yes, whenever it comes to bad grammar, I'm always gonna reference my arch to my back, because my arch to my back, yeah, and stuff like that. But outside those two errors, I didn't see anything. Pacing, I think this did a better job at pacing than Secret Island. It played it fast and loose. It allowed the story to breathe between the sex scenes. There was only like two sex scenes. At most of the time it's just Sunset running around nude. So it's like that's barely even sex. Two sex scenes, despite the fact the second one's kind of, well, three sex scenes if you count Rarity and Thunder Lane. But that seems like only a couple paragraphs. That's, I barely count it as a sex scene because it's more foreplay than anything else. And the second sex scene was Sunset and Twilight, and then the third sex scene is Sunset, Twilight, and Flash, and then that's it. The three sex scenes compared to, like, I think triple the amount in Secret Island. I didn't even count how many sex scenes were actually in Secret Island. It's more than three. It's more than three. I can assure that. And like the last sex scene in that story was long. But the pacing was done better in that story. I mean, not that story, this story. Wow, I keep making gas in this story. Probably it's going to become a meme of mine. It's probably going to become my running gag. I said, make a gaffe. Make a mistake. So the pacing better, the plot better. The characters are, aside from Celestia, it's the same. So, what I recommend, this favorite part and the final thoughts area. So, would I recommend it? No. I as much as I don't want to say no, granted, just like, unlike Secret Island, which is kind of prerequisite reading, this one's more optional because it just delves into Twilight story, so it's not really important in the grand scheme of things, possibly until like another story focusing on Twilight shows up. Then maybe that kind of ties better into the series as a whole. Then maybe, but not only is it more optional compared to Secret Island, but the fact that the author promised, and I kid you not, promised that this story was going to focus more on Celestia's mindset, and then do it in such a half-assed way, just left a very bitter taste in my mouth. I don't care what the author's reason is. The author's reasoning was basically, oh, I was trying to make Celestia's reasoning, close to her canon, that she's been a solo ruler for so long, she's not used to questioning, and she kind of a dick to Twilight half the time. Namely, if you remember the TV show, the whole Sombra incident where, she kind of let Twilight know, say, hey, here's the Crystal Empire, go there. Oh, nothing's gonna happen there. It's like, Celestia, why wasn't evil Lucar? It's like, oops, did you know? Maybe. Celestia! Don't make me send you to the moon, Twilight. Fine. I'm angry at you. And by the way, Spike was the one who dealt with Sombra. Sorry, I just like to see. I actually would want to see Celestia's reaction. So, like, Spike saved the Crystal Empire. She'd probably have her mouth open, like, and she'd have her eye twitching. It's like, my perfectly perfect plan was perfectly ruined. Why did I make Celestia sound like Francisca? Huh. I don't know. Now I'm having a weird image of Francisca von Karma writing Celestia. Sorry about that. Anyway, back on topic. I always seem to go on these weird tangents too. I don't like the fact the author promised all this and then didn't really deliver. Yes, we kind of got Celestia's reasoning, but then again, the author kind of already explained it in the info dump. I mean, if that part Celestia's reasoning behind it, that, oh, no one want to attack him, wasn't in the info dump. Like, I actually went back and looked at the info dump and said, if you read the whole info dump carefully enough and you kind of understand and know in between writing, then you can easily find out that she's a traditionalist, that her whole reasoning behind it is just she doesn't want people to worry, and she doesn't want people to attack, and she wants everything to keep as peaceful as possible. She thinks, well, a lack of a military will help with that, and it's like, it's only a matter of time before someone finds loopholes, said, hey, there's only 6 people defending an entire country. They can't all be at the same place at the same time. You know what, let's attack. And so it's actually hinting at that little part at the end of Secret Island with Starlight Glimmer, with them referencing Diamond Dogs, which are being controlled now by Starlight Glimmer, and about to march on Canterlot, which will lead to Celestia kind of abandoning her traditionalist values and realizing, yeah, we need a military. Favorite part? I guess I don't have a favorite. I mean, would the idea of picturing Rarity with nipple piercings be a no, that's not a favorite part. No. I don't really have a favorite part. I don't have a favorite part to the story. I mean, it's just there. Sure, it does things better than Secret Island, but it doesn't. There's nothing really stands out to me. That's not a bad thing. That's just, it's just nothing stands out to me personally. Would I change anything? I would actually make stuff change. I would have this story have a lot more Celestia, so we kind of get more into her mindset. Either restructure or just add a couple more scenes talking with Celestia through, like, other ponies, or possibly, like, have the other main 6 and have them flash back to, what happens to them in more detail, like Rainbow Dash being kicked out of the Wonderbolts, Rarity slowly starting to lose her business, and her having to do, like, a bed and breakfast sort of deal. Have some flashbacks to, their lives being impacted, sans Applejack, because the story actually makes it very obvious that Applejack's not really affected by the entire thing. So it's like, leave Applejack out. Talk about the other 5, minus Twilight, because we already kind of have her in the story. But add like flashback, add like little scenes to the other main six, talking to Twilight about her impact, and then we having a flashback to what happens to them, so that so Celestia's motivations carry more weight, and the consequences of that are more better seen. With everything being so vague, it's either you gotta do this, and even then that might not be enough, or more likely you're gonna have to do an entirely separate story talking about this entire incident. If you don't talk about this entire incident, then I'm probably going to be slightly pissed because you're constantly making things vague. I already know the next story in the series. It's Dangerous Mix. I love Dangerous Mix. I can't wait to review that story because I absolutely adore that story. And I think it's the best one out of all of them. But back to this. But on the grand theme of the game, there has to be a story talking about going more into depth and detail about this entire thing that was mentioned in the info dump. Like her and Celestia and Luna arguing, the debate, the slow fracture of the Crystal Empire, and, Twilight yelling at her, and then ending with, Celestia realizing that they need a military when Starlight Glimmer attacks. This is a story that needs to be told for the series to be complete. I don't know if it's probably going to be like, grand finale to tie in kind of everything, not only in the earlier stories, but in the later stories, tying into all that. I mean, there's so many ways you can go about it, but we need to know as much information about this big info dump. That's still the big question I have, is what really happened. All we got was a flashback, and we got an info dump. An info dump that should not be in Secret Island. It should be in this story, somewhere either near the beginning or near the end. Either one would work. We need to have more scenes with Celestia. We need to have the flashbacks to the other members of the main six and how they're affected by Celestia's decisions over everything to protect the main six and have them as their main military force. We need to see the consequences of her actions, because we can right now we can justifiably see them going both ways, and even if we see Celestia's consequences, we can easily see, so it's like, well, Celestia's right, in a weird sort of way, she's right, but we can also side with Luna, because as it stands right now, the author actually made both their sides very, very viable, and in their weird ways, both right, and at the same time, both wrong. Don't sue me on that. But overall, I think the story was a vast improvement over Secret Island in terms of plot, in terms of pacing, in terms of letting the whole story breathe, so we can, kind of see the sex scene, and so we can actually, we can relax, kind of let ourselves down, and then we get the next sex scene, and then like ta-da! But again, I cannot wait for me to review Dangerous Mix. I really, really love that story. So this has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.